Have you ever been in a position where you're trying to decide between two people and figure out who you're most compatible with? That is the subject of this reading. Hi everybody, I'm Sue Allen Clayton. Welcome to my channel where we're learning how to read tarot one card at a time. In today's reading, we'll be using 6 cards to help a woman choose between 2 potential roommates. I will be using the Radiant Rider-Waite Tarot, and there's a link below. This question was posted anonymously online, and it said, quote, "Who should I choose as a roommate? I'm female. Person A is a girl, but we have some back and forth issues. Person B is a boy, but I'm seeing some early warning signs. These are the only 2 options, and I have to decide today. Please help me out. This is a very important decision." Unquote. The querent drew 3 cards for each roommate. She did not mention using a spread. However, I will be using a 3-card spread to evaluate each of her choices. My first task was to figure out an appropriate spread, and it was quite challenging. My goal was to select a spread that reflected what the querent thought were the most important qualities of her roommate, but I didn't know what they were. There were so many considerations. Will they pay their share of the bills? Does their level of cleanliness match yours? Are their values aligned with yours? Are your personalities and habits compatible? Do you feel safe with them and their friends? Finally, I decided that it came down to respect. An ideal roommate would respect the querent's needs and keep their promises. So that's the spread I chose. Also, for simplicity's sake, I will refer to person A as the female roommate choice and person B as the male roommate choice. You can see an image of the cards for both choices on the screen. For the female, card number 1 represents the querent's expectations for respect and consideration. The querent drew the Knight of Wands. Card number 2 represents the potential roommate's level of respect and consideration. The querent drew the 10 of Wands. Card number 3 indicates the potential for a respectful and considerate living arrangement. The querent drew the 9 of Wands. For the male, card number 1 represents the querent's expectations for respect and consideration. The querent drew the 5 of Pentacles. Card number 2 represents the potential roommate's level of respect and consideration. The querent drew the 5 of Wands. And card number 3 indicates the potential for a respectful and considerate living arrangement. The querent drew Justice. Let's begin with my first impressions. On first glance, neither of these look like great choices. There's so much conflict. 4 of the cards are Wands, and the cards for the potential female roommate are all Wands. The Knight is doing his own thing. The other 3 cards show conflict, hard work, and distrust. The 5 of Pentacles looks like the roommates are out in the cold. And the final card, Justice, makes me wonder if there's an unfair dynamic or if the relationship ends up in a lawsuit. Of the 2 choices, I think the female roommate will be the best for the querent, although it looks like it will be a very difficult relationship for the female roommate. Let's look at each selection criteria more carefully. For each point, we're going to compare the male and female roommate. Card number 1 represents the querent's expectations for respect and consideration. For the potential female roommate, the querent drew the Knight of Wands. Off the bat, I'd like to say that the querent would be my idea of a nightmare, because I'm introverted and not much of a partier. I always say the Knights are the frat boys at the deck. They are generally in the 18 to 21-year-old age group. They tend to be very passionate and impulsive. The Knight of Wands is the most energetic and hot-headed of the Knights. This tells us that the querent is extremely high energy and likes to be the center of attention. She has red hair, is on a red horse, and you can see flames on the helmet and sleeves of her outfit. This is somebody who is very passionate, driven, and has a fiery personality. The querent is someone who likes to be the center of attention. Think about fire. It burns brightly and is mesmerizing. The querent enjoys being the life of the party. She'd be happy rushing off to a bar in the middle of the night to meet up with her friends. She's not stopping to think about how this will impact the people she lives with. The querent is also covered in armor. I think she does her own thing, and it would be hard to get through to her. She would not be open to a conversation about the roommate's feelings and the fact that she needs to be in bed by 10 p.m. in order to be alert for work the next day. This tells me that the querent is seeking a roommate who will accept her impulsive, center of attention lifestyle. Looking at the other cards, I don't think that the female roommate will like this, but I don't see her fighting back. Let's turn to the male roommate and the querent's expectations for respect and consideration. The querent drew the Five of Pentacles. This card tells me that the querent wants to be part of a group. She does not want to feel like she's out in the cold when it's obvious there are other choices, because it would be a lot more fun to be inside the church where it's warm. She doesn't want a roommate that holds her back or makes her feel like an outcast. And I think that the male roommate would hold her back. If they had an agreement that she wouldn't entertain during the week or come home after midnight, he'd expect her to honor this, even if it required her to miss out on a party. However, I think the querent is not comfortable with boundaries. She wants to be where she wants to be. She doesn't want to feel like she's stuck outdoors with an injured friend. She'd rather be partying and enjoying herself. Basically, the querent is out for herself. As we can see in the image, she isn't helping the person with crutches, who most people believe to have leprosy. She's not even looking at him. She's keeping her head down and is moving forward. She doesn't want to worry about anybody but herself. In this matchup, I think that the querent prefers the female roommate because that will give her much more freedom. She would find the male roommate restricting because he's created boundaries and expects her to keep her end of the bargain. Well, that should have worked in theory. The querent would have ended up missing out on social interaction, and she does not want that. The next two cards represent the potential roommate's level of respect and consideration. For the potential female roommate, the querent drew the Ten of Wands. I think that the female roommate is somebody who works extremely hard in all areas of her life. Wands are about action, and she's carrying a very heavy burden in a very uncomfortable way. Unlike the selfish querent, the potential female roommate is not somebody who worries about herself. She's not taking a break from pushing the sticks to come up with a more ergonomically beneficial way to carry the load. Nope, she keeps soldiering on. I see the female roommate as somebody who works tirelessly on behalf of many people. These might include her job responsibilities, taking care of aging parents, or volunteering for important causes. She never puts herself first. We see the female roommate on a stage. I think this means that she feels separate from the people around her, likely because she's working so hard. She also thinks that she's doing what is expected of her, almost like she's being forced to put on a show, instead of just what she wants to do. As a roommate, I think that she will work very hard to be respectful of the querent's partying lifestyle. However, it will be extremely hard for her and become one more burden that she's taken on. But that wasn't the subject of the reading. In the question, the querent said that she had, quote, back and forth issues, unquote, with the female roommate. I think this might be the source. The female roommate is overburdened while the querent is out partying. I think the querent views her as a stick in the mud and not the carefree roommate that she'd prefer. I feel like the female will suck it up and deal with the querent's selfishness, at least until she reaches her breaking point. She's not going to stand up for herself or demand that the querent stop with her selfish ways. For the potential male roommate's level of respect and consideration, the querent drew the Five of Wands. This is a card about conflict. I think the querent and the male roommate would constantly be at each other's throats over pretty much everything. The card shows 5 adolescent boys fighting with their wands in the air. The boys are facing in different directions, and so are their wands. Each one is standing on a miniature hill, which shows they are all grounded in their own opinion. This looks like they are bickering or playing some kind of game versus having a serious fight. This tells me that their living situation would have a lot of conflict and power struggles, leading to constant petty arguments over things like leaving dishes in the sink, not cleaning up after yourself, or forgetting to water the plants. Unlike the potential female roommate, the male roommate isn't willing to put up with the querent slacking off. He communicates his distress, and the two of them hash out their problems. I don't think the querent appreciates this. It's her apartment, and she feels like the potential male roommate should follow her rules. In this matchup, I think that the querent will choose the potential female roommate who will work very, very hard to be accommodating. That is preferable to the conflict of living with the male. You've made it this far in the video, and I wanted to stop and ask a favor if you're not already a subscriber, and that is to please hit the subscribe button. It's free for you, and it will also help me to grow this channel. Plus, it means that you won't miss anything. Thanks so much, and if you're already a subscriber, I truly appreciate your ongoing support. Now let's get back to the video. Card number 3 indicates the potential for a respectful and considerate living arrangement. Let's start with the potential female roommate. The querent drew the 9 of Wands. From the querent's standpoint, I think the female roommate will be a good choice. She will be very cautious and respect the rules laid out by the querent. If the querent tells her that it's her responsibility to clean the bathroom, she will, even if the majority of the mess is not hers. We can see the bandage on the potential female roommate's head. This indicates that she has been beaten up, either physically or spiritually. I think that she's been in a bad situation, which is probably why she's willing to live with someone with whom she has known issues. I think she'll be very cautious about getting hurt again. She'll probably let the querent bully her rather than standing up for herself. The potential female roommate is pausing, and I think she's trying to figure out her next move. I don't think this is a long-term situation. We saw the female roommate on a stage in the previous set of cards. I think that she's figuring out what she wants, which is not to be acting like everyone wants her to. She will eventually decide that she wants to release her heavy burdens and reclaim her freedom. For now, I think that the female will definitely be respectful and considerate of the roommate, even if it's not reciprocated by the querent. However, I do think she's got an exit plan. Finally, let's look at the male roommate's potential for being respectful and considerate in the living arrangement. The querent drew Justice. I think that the male roommate will demand a fair arrangement and hold the querent accountable to that. If she promises to be home by midnight and wakes up at 1 a.m., he will bring it up for discussion. If they agree not to have house guests on weekdays, and he shows up after work to find a party going on, he'll have no problem kicking everybody out. He will expect that the querent adheres to their agreement and to take responsibility for her actions. Although the Justice card tells me that the male roommate would be honest and truthful, I don't think that the querent is somebody who plays by the rules. The querent doesn't want to be accountable. She wants a roommate who will acquiesce to her demands, and the potential male roommate is not that person. In this matchup, I think the female roommate will be preferred by the querent. So let's summarize. This reading was to figure out whether the male or female candidate was the best potential match for a roommate. In all 3 cases, the female roommate was a better fit. Card number 1 represents the querent's expectations for respect and consideration. The Knight of Wands told me that, for the potential female roommate, the querent is seeking a roommate who won't interfere with her impulsive, center of attention lifestyle. The 5 of Pentacles tells us that the querent doesn't want a roommate who will hold her back from participating in her social life and limit her freedom. Next, we looked at the potential roommate's level of respect and consideration. The 10 of Wands indicated that the female roommate is working hard and would likely be respectful of the querent's partying lifestyle, at least until she reaches her breaking point. She's not going to stand up for herself or demand that the querent stop with her selfish ways. On the other hand, the 5 of Wands tells us that the potential male roommate will call the querent out whenever she breaks their agreement. Living with him would entail a lot of conflict. Finally, card number 3 indicates the potential for a respectful and considerate living arrangement. The 9 of Wands indicates that the female roommate will be a good choice. She will be very cautious and respect the rules laid out by the querent. The potential male roommate drew Justice. He will expect that the querent sticks to their agreement and do his fair share. And he's not going to be steamrolled into letting the querent change the rules or clean up her mess. So, as you can see, we have 3 votes for the female roommate. As I mentioned, I don't think this is a great fit for the female roommate, but that was not the subject of this reading. I hope this video will help you with your tarot readings. Please leave a comment if you'd like to share what you learned. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.